Welcome to Over 50 TV. My name is Lou Reyes, and in this video, I'm going to give you the number one reason you should never do an exit interview, especially if you're over 50. Welcome back to Over 50 TV. My name is Lou Reyes, and as I said before the break, in this video, I'm going to tell you the number one reason why you should never do an exit interview, especially if you're over 50. And when I say never, I mean absolutely never do an exit interview. I'm going to give you the reasons why, but before I do, what I want to let you know is that in the description box of this video, I have what I call my amazing 5-sentence cover letter, and it's really a cover letter that hiring managers can't resist. I created this cover letter after doing a lot of research. Also, I have hired hundreds of people in my career at my companies. I've also interviewed at least 10 times that many. So what I've done with this cover letter is I distilled all the information that I learned from all the interviews, all the cover letters, all the resumes, and I put together a pretty powerful cover letter. And you can get your own copy. That copy is in the description box of this video. Now, also in the description box, I do have my career aptitude test free link to the Career Fitter aptitude test. And what I like about this Career Fitter career aptitude test is this. It's 60 questions. It only takes about 10 minutes. But when you're finished, what you'll do is they help steer you to a career that fits your personality and your skill set. And again, there is a link to the Career Fitter career aptitude test in the description box. So now let's jump into the number one reason why you should never do an exit interview, especially if you're somebody who is over 50. Imagine, if you will, that you accept the invitation from the HR professional to come in to attend an exit interview. You walk into that exit interview and you sit down and you blow right in, you sit down, and they ask you, why are you leaving? They ask you all the typical questions, the questions that you probably can expect that they will ask you. And the person that's asking the questions, chances are that person is fairly young. Data shows that a non-manager in the HR department is around 33 years old. I've seen data that shows the tenure for someone who is in HR to be around 2.21 years for a non-manager. And I've seen ages being younger than the 33 average, and I've seen other data that shows HR folks don't last as long as 2.21 years. But I'm going to go with this particular data, the 2.21 years. So you're sitting in front of that HR person, you're answering all their questions, and then maybe there's a question that kind of strikes you, and you just have to let them know how you haven't been real happy there. And maybe you weren't happy with the manager, you weren't happy with the overall environment there, you weren't happy with the way that you feel that you were treated, and you let that youngish HR manager know your feelings. And that HR manager, that person sitting there, and they're just writing down in their notes everything. Maybe they're not even making eye contact with you because they just don't have the confidence level that you have as an older person, somebody who's over 50 or 55 years old. So they're not making eye contact with you, but they are just writing it all down. So now you're finished. You've basically kind of dumped. You knew you shouldn't, but you let some things come out of your mouth that maybe you wish you hadn't, but hey, you know what? You're moving on to another job. So now, what do you think that HR manager is going to do when they get a call for a reference, or that HR assistant manager? What do you think they're going to do? Well, let's hope that they're professional. Let's hope that they don't tell the person who's calling all the stuff that you dumped on them, or at least the stuff that was letting them know how unhappy you were. So now the new person, the person who's checking your references, is getting all this information, and what do you think they're thinking? Well, they're probably thinking, we're not going to hire this person. So my belief is this. My belief is, why risk why take a chance that HR manager, that assistant HR manager is going to let that other HR manager or that hiring manager know what you said, and they're going to say basically, hey, this person is a firecracker, this person is somebody who just doesn't appreciate all the great things that we gave them. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that this is going to be true in every single case, but I can tell you this. I've talked to enough hiring managers to know that at times things will come out in a phone call. And again, I'm not saying every single time, but why take the risk? So part of the number one reason is why risk it? Why risk something being said that doesn't need to be said and that shouldn't be said, but was said? Why take a chance? Another reason I've been adamant about not accepting the invitation, and sometimes I do know it is mandatory, the employer will insist upon it, and hopefully you have an option not to participate. But another reason that I'm adamant about not accepting the invitation to participate in an exit interview is based on some statistics that are out there. And I'm going to actually read from my notes here so that you can hear about the statistics. And it's regarding job hunting and how long it takes for people like us, people who are a little bit older, over 50 years old, over 55 years old, how long it takes for us to find employment. And here is some research. I'm going to read this to you. One 2020 study published by the National Bureau of Economic Research found that workers over the age of 40 are only about half as likely to get a job offer as younger workers if employers know their age. So your chances of getting a job, even though we've got this great economy right now, and I am so happy for a lot of us because, it's a lot easier for us to get a job because there is a need for people right now in the workplace. But still, based on reading this from the National Bureau of Economic Research, workers over the age of 40 are about half as likely to get a job offer, which means we have a 50%. Our employment chances of getting a job, our employment chances are already cut, severely cut based on data that's out there. Now, another thing that I think is striking is it says the U.S. Department of Labor, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, on average says it takes workers 55 to 64 years old, it takes us 2 weeks longer to find a job compared to those 20 years and older. So 2 weeks, that's the average. Seen it higher, seen it right around 2 weeks, maybe even a little bit lower. But it does take us longer to find a job. But then this is the other thing it says. The news is worse if you're 65 and older, where this average duration of unemployment is 10 weeks longer. Now, I have seen other studies that say that workers who are older can wait up to a year to find employment. So I'm reading this data, understanding it, digesting it, literally digesting it, because I look at it all the time. But I'm looking at all this data, all this information, and what I'm saying is this. I'm saying if it takes us longer to find a job, if it's that harder, why would we risk going into an HR exit interview and maybe saying something that we shouldn't, or maybe just going in there and maybe we say what we should say, but it's interpreted in a wrong way. It's just not worth the risk. And I keep going back. It's not worth the risk. It's not worth the risk. So let me give you another reason, part of this number one reason, when I just say these are reasons why you should not participate in an exit interview. And here's a very, very good reason. What we know is this. We already know, and there is data that does show, that 56% of workers over the age of 55 are pushed out of their job before they are ready to retire. They're pushed out because of their age. So we know this data. We know that statistic. It's been out there a long time. We've seen it time and time again in studies that it is, when you reach a certain age, you're more likely to be pushed out of your job. But here's the rub. You do get another job. And it says this. These are some other data that's out there. It says this, and this is interesting because it says older workers are also out of work longer than other age groups, which we just talked about that. But it says, and when they do land a new position, 90% of them end up working at a lower salary. And I'm looking at this and saying only 1 out of 10 people ever ever again earn as much money as they earned prior to being pushed out of their job because of their age. These are the reasons why I'm fairly insistent, adamant is the word I used a few minutes ago, adamant about not attending and not accepting an exit interview. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear them. If you have any comments, I'd love to see them. If you want to email me, you're more than welcome to do that. I always encourage people, if there's something that they really want to talk to me about, they're more than welcome to send me an email. One more thing I do want to say before we forget, or two more things. One is, don't forget, I do have that 5-sentence cover letter. It's a link. Click on it. You get the free 5-sentence cover letter. And I think that you'll find it very, very helpful. It's really just a fill-in-the-blank kind of a form, and it's easy to use. And I also have the link to the Career Fitter Career Aptitude Test. I love the test. I took it myself. I thought it was right on, so that's why I recommend it. It's free. That's also important. Well, that's all I got for you today, folks. I want to thank you for watching this video. And as I always say, have a great day, everybody.